Okay, we're live. Call the meeting to order. I make a motion we adopt the agenda as sent.
Second, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. You there, Dave?
Aye.
Thank you. Delegation, Crystal Brad.
Sorry, a little bit slow. That's fine, that's fine. So do you just want me to speak? All right. I am here along with several other parents in concern that we are not being allowed to come into the school for classroom parties, the spelling bee, watchdog events, but yet all the evening events are back to normal. There's no quotas being set for athletic events or sporting, basically anything that happens after the school day. We are having kindergarten night. There are practices going on all the time, outside tournaments. All this is going on, but a few parents are not being allowed to come into, say, a room party. And if some of you have been room parents, you know there's not 30 or 40 parents coming into these classrooms. You're lucky to get, probably a teacher to get 3 or 4 parents to come in. I mean, watchdogs, I think they typically, in the past, would schedule like 1 father coming in. And spelling bee, you probably don't have near as many people in the audience as you would a band concert at night. Don't get me wrong, I think our kids and the sporting events back to normal. I think the field trips we're having back to normal. I think the cross-country team taking a team building trip to Nebraska out of state, I think it was great. But what I don't think is great, that while all this other stuff is going on, I am told because of COVID is why we're not allowed to come in for watchdogs, spelling bees, and classroom parties. And I think that the board needs to make the decision to overturn the building decision that this isn't going to occur. I did reach out to the principal, the superintendent, and then I also emailed Kelly and Jay before the Halloween party. I got a response from Mrs. Paul very quickly, and it was because of COVID. But I just don't feel that with everything else we have going on, that COVID is a very sound ground for that reasoning. We're having field trips. We're taking our children out of our school to a whole nother environment, which again, I think is great. I think these things need to be happening for our kids. But I also think that the parents need to get back in the classrooms and help the teachers. I mean, I always looked at it when I was able to come in and help with Sophie's parties, that it was kind of giving the teachers a break, where they could kind of sit back and be like, oh, I can catch up on some grading, or I can do this. And it kind of gave us parents a little bit better connection with the teachers. Or, oh, so this is Johnny who you always talk about. Well, it's nice to meet you, And last year, I get it. Everything was very different. I felt more disconnected from my children's teachers last year than I ever have. And being in a small school, I don't feel like a lot of parents are usually disconnected from their teachers. If they are, then that's your own problem, because the teachers here have always been willing to connect with parents. But last year, because of COVID, I get that. But this year, those regulations aren't in place. Everything is back to normal except for these few things. And I think we need to, like I seen the other night, like Corey's wife had several people come in from not in Osage County or whatever, but family to celebrate her birthday. That's great. Celebrate her birthday. But also, that same 4 or 5 people that came in, we should be allowed to have people in our kids' classrooms too. And I just feel that the board really needs to look at this and reevaluate it, because, I mean, I'm not the only parent. There's several parents here that, and it's not that we can go to every single class party or we can go to every single event. So it's not just saying that all of us just want to be the ones to go. But this is opening the door for those parents who, I know a mom who works night shifts typically, so she can be there during the day for events. I mean, we're missing out on a lot of things that our kids do, and if your kid isn't athletic driven and say your child's in the spelling bee, you have to miss that. But basically it feels like because they're not in sports, but if it was at night after 3:30, you could go. And so I just wish that the board would reevaluate that and get that open back up before these Christmas parties happen.
What classes or what grades are we talking here?
I'm pretty sure that is just affecting K through 5 or preschool through 5. I forget that preschool's, so like pre-K through 5. My understanding from Mr. Hutton is he allows each principal to kind of make their own rules for their school. And I mean, I have kids 2 in grade school, 1 in middle school. You know, and thankfully I was able to participate in this stuff with Sophie, and last year, like I said, I get the whole COVID restrictions last year. And so I missed out on the kindergarten stuff with my son. But everything else is open back. I'm just asking for this to be opened back up too. I mean, I had even told Mr. Hutton when I had talked to him about it. I'm like, you know, it's not like you're gonna have 30 parents come into a classroom for a party. I mean, I'm sure some of these teachers are lucky to get 2. But if you have parents that can come in and help, let them come in and help. I mean, let these parents be of use to these teachers and give them an extra, even if it's like an hour break or whatever, give that teacher an extra hour to get caught up on something, because I don't know, I work school and I feel this year has been much harder than last. And I can guarantee you it's probably the same to a lot of other districts. And so give these teachers a little extra break and put it on the parents, you know, hey, great, you take care of the games and the snacks, you need me, I'm over here getting caught up on some stuff.
Any questions?
It's a question I do have, and you may not know the answer either. From a PTA perspective, so I'm not a member, so this is really open if there's others out there too. Has this been a discussion brought up at PTA as well, where there's been, you know,
Has
there's
this been
usually a
brought up
couple
at PTA?
teachers part of that, just to have a discussion between parents and teachers of what that could look like, or, you know, maybe why things haven't changed, anything like that?
Didn't parents volunteer for the elf shop that the
Oh, yeah.
PTA did
The
today?
PTA had
This
the
week?
elf shop and they're
So you
having
had
parents
parents
come in
come
and do that.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any discussions about, hey, how do we get parents potentially back in the classroom? Because I know there's some teachers in the PTA kind of is.
I am not sure. I
I was
have
just curious.
had a few teachers tell me that they would like to see it happen, but it's not their decision.
Isn't the decision ultimately up to Mrs. Hall? Yeah, or Mr. Hutton, which we don't know where he is.
They said, is it the decision ultimately up to Mrs. Paul?
Do you want me to address that?
Please, Mrs. Paul.
I mean, that's what
No.
Mr. Hutton,
Honestly, you guys, my team, we work as a team, so I am not the sole decision maker on this. I do believe that before, you're right, Crystal, before Halloween, we were still concerned about COVID. It is not a concern of ours anymore, but I will tell you one thing that COVID brought to our attention. It allowed us to see how many positive experiences we can have with our students all by ourselves in our classrooms without having parents in with our parties. I know you guys, and we love our parent support. I am not saying anything about parent support at all, because we love our parents. But there are other opportunities that we do offer for our parents. We do have kindergarten nights. PTA right now is in our buildings. We have Kiwanis Club come in, we have Lions Club members come in. I mean, we're not excluding our parents from our building by any means. It's just classroom parties, that's it.
but why is
That's
that?
a big thing.
I mean, because it's always been, like, yes, I think there has been positive experiences that I'm sure you teachers have gained and whatnot. But this is like the only time the parents have ever really been able to be in the classrooms with the kids. Is during these class parties.
I can bring it back to leadership team. I can do a survey of our staff, if that's okay with the board, and show you guys what the results are of the survey, if that's okay.
I just don't understand why all of a sudden there's such a resistance to allowing parents back into the classroom parties.
Exactly.
Yes, it's never been an issue before.
I mean, it wasn't, I get the issue with COVID because of the fact that COVID and all the restrictions that it brought, and I completely understand that. But now it's like COVID's over, but yet we're still gonna keep this one restriction in place. And Watchdogs, I think, is a great program.
I don't think it's a restriction. It's a change, and parents may not like that change, but we wanna be the ones in charge of our classroom parties. That's it.
Okay, but that's not what I'm hearing from some teachers. Some teachers welcomed the parents coming.
But what about the first graders that didn't get to do kindergarten night last year because of COVID? I mean, I've got kids all over the board. I've got a junior, I've got a freshman, I've got an eighth grader, and I've got a kindergarten.
Are we talking about the kids or are we talking about the parents?
With a parent, I mean, had it not been for, if my kid would have been first grade this year, I wouldn't be able to go do kindergarten night. There's, what, 35 parents in that room the other night?
But were you able to come back to school
But,
or
I mean,
open houses?
But if he'd be in first grade,
I mean, we still
If
allow
you've
our
been in
parents in.
kindergarten,
I guess I don't understand what the pushback is of having parents in the classroom. I mean, it's like you don't want us around.
No, well, it sounds
That's never
like,
been
well,
the case before.
it sounds like the leadership team of the school made the decision, is what I'm hearing. I'm learning too, I mean, cause we aren't part of every decision in every classroom.
Right.
when
Or
you
in
say
every school.
leadership, is that like?
But we don't need to be part of every single decision because we would need a full-time job of just being part of all
Okay,
those.
what I was told
But can I
directly from
please
Mr.
finish,
Hutton.
let me finish what I was saying. Mrs. Paul said the leadership team of her school made the decision. She's going to reach back out to the leadership team, and that doesn't mean that the decision is going to be the same. I mean, we don't know yet, I guess that's just my point of view. Personally, I thought it was some of the greatest time when I got to actually see my kids in the classroom. It made me have to take a nap if I was there an hour, because I can't believe what our teachers go through, that's for sure. But at this point, I mean, I think we just need to go back to the leadership team within the school, and that's what my thing is, but I don't know if anybody else
I mean,
has
I'm very confused. Mr. Hutton himself is the one that told me that he leaves those decisions up to his building principals.
The
So
leader,
that's where I'm
that
feeling
is, the
the
leadership,
confusion, like he's telling me this, Mrs. Paul is saying this.
Oh, there's a leadership team.
I know.
It's our building decision,
it's a building decision.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, the way he alluded to is that it was strictly just the building principals who made the decisions of their building.
Well, they
That's
lead their leadership team, so I mean inherently they have the final call of that.
I do speak for my leadership team, but the leadership team is representative of every single grade level, special ed, electives in our building. So when we have a leadership team, just so you guys understand, they go back and they talk to their PLCs, which is their professional learning communities, their grade level people. And then they say, do you like this, do you not like it, what do you like about it? And then they bring it back to leadership team, and that's how leadership team operates. So
Who is on
yes,
the
Who's on the
leadership
leadership team for you?
Danny, for your information, yes, everyone pretty much is involved in that decision making.
Who's everyone, all the teachers in your?
Not all the teachers are on leadership team, they are represented on leadership team.
But like, are they represented by who?
The
Like
teacher in their
one
grade,
teacher from each
second
grade
grade
comes
represents
to
all
it,
second
or-
grade. Is that
That's what
my
I just
understanding?
said,
Okay,
yes,
so it'd be one teacher from each of those set grades.
yeah, one teacher per grade, one special ed teacher, one elective teacher, our 2 title teachers, our school counselor, yes, and myself.
Is this something that could be done in a timely manner?
I
I think From what I'm gathering is December 17th is a big day in the elementary.
I will tell you, we will not have Christmas parties
Yes,
with
and that's
parents
too
on
soon.
December 17th.
Okay,
That is
Wow.
not just my decision, you guys, I want you to understand, that is a building decision. You may not like it, you're not gonna like every single decision. Not everybody liked wearing masks, remember that. But it is a building decision, and my staff will stand by that, and I will stand by my staff.
And why is it a building decision?
Well,
What's
because
the number?
they,
Is it because of COVID or is it something that teachers don't want the parents in their classrooms?
I think initially it was due to COVID, but right now, I think the teachers feel like the experience that they get with their students all by themselves is more beneficial to them.
I'm not buying that.
Well, yeah, so I think from here, I mean, we definitely have heard from, we've heard from parents here, this is your thoughts, but I think we now owe it to Dina and her leadership team to do their process to see, hey, is that still the thought? I think we need to have that
So
conversation.
the school board
I
then
think
is
at
it
some
willing to
time the
make a
school board
decision?
might wanna talk about this too, due to the
Yeah.
fact that if the COVID's not an issue anymore, and that's what I've just heard,
Exactly.
then why are we not doing it? We've done it always in the past that we've allowed parents to come in and help with these. I don't understand why we're not doing it now if COVID's not an issue.
Well,
If
tomorrow,
COVID's an issue, you got a point, but if COVID is not an issue, why are we restricting parents from coming in?
tomorrow night, we have a Christmas program for 3rd through 5th grade. We're gonna have an auditorium full of people. Adults and kids, grandparents of all
We have
ages.
those at basketball games and everything
Yeah.
else.
I mean,
It
I don't,
doesn't have anything to do
I'm
with
just saying.
COVID right now. That's what we just said. It has nothing to do with COVID right now.
So why did the letter go out saying due to COVID? Like, every letter that's come out says due to COVID, we are not allowing parents in the classroom.
That was before.
No, that was just this letter for Christmas.
Literally just
Just
sent
like
out,
2 weeks
last
ago, it
week.
says due to COVID.
Due to COVID, what was it? I'm sorry.
Due to COVID, parents are not allowed in our classrooms. Like,
And I probably wrote that right after the Halloween parties, because my newsletters do that early for December. So, yeah.
So then are we gonna stop allowing teachers to have a whole bunch of people in for their own private things?
Yep.
If parents can't come into their kids' classrooms? I mean, that's where the frustration is. There is so much double-sidedness
strangers.
and parents are getting really frustrated. And that is the problem. Like, it needs to become uniform across the board. Either people are allowed in during the day or they are not. And honestly, as a tax-paying citizen of this school district, I have every right to come in here to my children's classroom and observe at any time if I choose to.
We're not saying that, Crystal.
No, I know that, but in
We're
an
just
essence, when it comes to the
talking about
class party,
classroom
I am not allowed into my child's classroom.
I wouldn't say you're not allowed, you're just not invited because we're doing our
You're
classroom
picking and
parties by
choosing
ourselves.
when you want parent support. That's what you're doing. You're picking and choosing. You want support for parents to come in and help with the ELF thing all the week long, but I can't come in for an hour to help with Reagan's preschool party. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, my kids have asked, why don't you come to our party like you came to Sophie's?
Well, Reagan
JJ, I can't explain it, like, that's the rule right now, and so that's what it is for Halloween. I will see if we can get it changed before Christmas.
All I can do is I can take it back to leadership team and see
Or the
what
board
happens.
can make a decision to change it.
Right, so my feeling is if we were to make a decision on this, then what else are we now going to be making decisions on that we wouldn't have made a decision on in the past?
I'm gonna say that we probably need to start making more decisions, so.
Yeah, I mean, but
I will make a motion, I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the parents to come. Just like a sporting event, they come to events, and if you guys wanna deny it, just vote no or don't second it, I don't care, but I'm just telling you that, I don't think it's right either.
I'll second it just to get a vote.
I mean, obviously, it's not a thing that's affecting one parent.
Hang on, we're taking a vote.
Don't push me. It's not affecting one
We
parent.
have a motion on.
We have a motion, so we can get it.
Did Mike vote?
Mike vote.
Yay.
I did not hear the votes
Brent.
over here.
Or stay.
Or Dave,
Nay.
4-2,
Who were-
nay.
Who were the two?
Corey and I voted for it, the other 4 voted against,
This is the reason.
and Brent's not here.
I just need to make a statement. It's not that I don't support, and you can walk away and not listen to what I have to say,
Well,
I
I
listen.
can still hear you. It takes me a couple more minutes to get around.
I just wanna say, Mrs. Paul's taking it back to her leadership group. The leadership group is who makes, if we were involved in every single decision that the administration has to make every day, I would literally have to quit my job and stand next to them and help them make every decision. This is just an example of one of the, let's go back to the leadership team. You have, I'm sure almost every teacher is on the YouTube watching, so they'll have some context as well for the conversation, so I just wanted you to understand, that is why I voted.
And I get, and that's why people don't bring every little thing, but when things become a bigger issue and there have been emails sent prior to the last party and resolutions, like things haven't been, like I did the process, I emailed the principal, I emailed the superintendent, I emailed board members, nothing changed. That's why I came to the school board hoping that the people that were elected would at least help us change one thing. I'm not asking you to change how many bathroom breaks they get or how many recesses they get. I did the process. I didn't come and
Yeah, we
ask
heard
you
you.
to change it to begin with.
No, we heard you.
And now our frustration is, now it's not even changing here.
I guess I don't look at it that it's not changing.
Same here.
Well, it's not.
There's
Can
the
I
other
ask a
stuff.
question? So I know Troy Hutton has been gone for quite some time. Does anybody know where he is? He's a
That's
leader.
none of your business.
So we can't have justification on where the
I don't
leader
think we
is?
tell them that, but
No.
he's on a
Leave.
leave of absence, an approved leave of absence.
So who is taking his place to lead?
We will be talking about that later.
Is there a time frame turnaround for the leadership team decision? So it'll be Valentine's Day
Yeah,
is
she's not,
coming up.
she already said not
She
before
said not
December.
Christmas.
Right, I know,
Yeah.
but I would like a time frame of,
I think the next time we
January would
meet
be a
is
good time.
early January,
Okay, because Valentine's Day parties will come up.
right?
Like I said, I know I can't make every party, but I do know parents like to help teachers, like Kristen
And
said, I think it just
spelling bee
helps the
and
teacher
stuff like
have a
that.
break.
Anything during the day, parents aren't being allowed in.
And it's not just about the parents, it's about the little kids in those classrooms that like their parents to come to that kind of stuff.
Our little kids are only little for so
They're only
long.
little for so long.
Alright, we gotta move along here, so, correspondence, nothing. Treasurer's report.
Kelly, do you wanna do those?
Is that during this time?
Yes.
Well, I have a couple of presents over here that I just saw. So we would like to recognize Mike Pitts for 8.5 years of his service to USC 420.
I mean, you gotta give a speech, but
Use this fancy Kansas shaped plaque. You're welcome.
That's pretty cool.
And Jay Bailey, we'd like to recognize your 4 years of service to our school as well. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have. That's all I have.
treasurer's report.
We probably need to adopt the minutes of the last meeting first, Jay.
It's the first one, you already did that.
Adopt the amendments.
I usually do that at the same time we do all the other stuff, don't we?
Oh, okay, that's fine.
We put them all together, do huh?
One motion,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
one motion
Okay.
for all of them.
I'm new at this, so, okay, treasurer's report. You'll see, there's just not a whole lot of activity this month. We had, money come in, for the general fund from the state of Kansas. We had some liquidated damages of $1,800 come in. In food service, we had food service come in from the state, meal receipts. On the second page, under gifts and grants, we had our quarterly pre-K pilot money come in. And under the family grant, that is the Patterson grant that we will talk about later on in the meeting. If there aren't any questions, we'll go on to petty cash. It looks like, elementary needs reimbursed $85.92, middle school $36, and the high school $114.94. Payment of the bills, I didn't see anything that really stood out on your first page. On the second page, Foley equipment, we had bus repair to bus number 17. About 3/4 down the page, Kansas Association of School Boards, legal services for the quorum request. Page 3, Chamber of Commerce, staff appreciation, we're doing some chamber bucks. We had our drug testing with the Psychmedics Corporation of $991. Southeast Kansas Education, you'll see our adult learning tuition, the $700 is for May through October. And the $2,000 right below that is a monthly charge that we have. And the last thing I noticed is our third assessment to the Three Lakes Co-op, and that is $133,641.
What's the, tell me again on the Kansas Association of School Boards, is that the 1876-78?
1876.78,
And that was for legal services for the
Yes.
core request?
yes.
And what's the line right above that, Patty? The 2275? ACT.
Any clue, either of you, any of you guys?
Looks like a registration for something.
Registration,
I-
five
I think those ACT pathways, we had teachers go to the ACT training. Or ACT, or our, not ACT, CTE teacher pathways. They have to go to annual training, the career technical education.
Okay,
That makes more sense.
thank you.
Any other questions on that?
If not, we'll move to the addendums. Right now, we're on the general fund, we have spent 25.73% with 74.27 remaining. Supplemental fund, we have spent 7.57% with the remaining of 92.43%.
That it?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve or adopt the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 10th, 2021, to approve the treasurer's report of November 30th, 2021, to pay petty cash back in the amount of $85.92 to the elementary school, $36 to the middle school, $114.94 to the high school, and payment in the bills in the amount of $212,910.27 for December 8th, 2021, and November payroll in the amount of $453,486.66. And before anybody does anything with that, does that include the bonus money?
No.
So that goes into December.
Second,
Aye.
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 Dave?
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business, COVID update, Lisa Pretal. I didn't see her.
I know, I didn't see you back there.
Yeah, I'm here. So you have some items in your folder, if you've got time to review. Katie, do you want me to kind of summarize?
Yeah, that'd be great,
Okay.
thank you.
So KDHE has indicated that they are now allowing, upon board approval, household members of a positive individual to have the option to return to school when the positive household member is released from quarantine and participate in the test to stay and play testing program here at school. These students and staff would be required to wear a mask and test daily for 7 days. A couple of points that I want to bring up are testing supplies continue to be limited due to manufacturing shortages globally. That of course changes daily. This was typed up yesterday and I just got word yesterday, that KDHE is relocating the rapid antigen testing supplies for all the schools across the state due to higher number of testing in different areas. But then I got word today that they have ample supplies, so that, like I said, changes daily with the amount of people that are being tested. PCR testing is no longer free in the state of Kansas at pharmacies, doctor's offices, and clinics, most across the state of Kansas. KDHE does offer free PCR testing still at their own testing sites, and the closest one I could find for us would be in Franklin County, and they indicated that they can still perform free PCR testing as long as they have supply, and they have no idea how long their supply
And the
will last.
PCR test is the test that the family member can take in advance
Yes, to return sooner.
Thank you.
Yep.
I get mixed up.
I have been in close contact with the Osage County Health Department, and due to the lack of PCR testing available in our area, they are okaying, upon board approval, that the household member we can take a rapid negative test as valid for a household member to return on day 17 of the 20-day recommended quarantine
So they can take,
versus the PCR test.
so they could test on day 16?
and return to class.
What's the difference between that now and what it is, or
It-
between what we're
The
doing now and what
guidelines
this is?
before indicated that it had to be a PCR test.
So the days didn't change, it's just the test?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha, yeah, okay.
Let's see here. So the two things that we need to discuss tonight are, is USD 420 going to change the current policy in place, which is on the website under the exclusion guidelines? Are we going to change that verbiage to indicate that we're going to allow a negative rapid antigen test to allow them to return to school instead of a PCR? The way it reads now, it says a PCR test is required.
And the KDHE says that we can do the other one,
Osage County Health Department, yes.
which they're following, I'm assuming KDHE.
Yes, yes.
And the health department agrees.
So
So that's
the
one, what's the other
first
one?
item to consider, and the second
So that's
item-
just changing the test.
That's just changing the test and then
For the
changing our
household
policy.
contact.
So 16 the only thing is what test they take.
Yes, what test they're taking, what we're gonna consider as a valid negative test to
Okay.
return to
Okay.
school as a household member of a positive individual. Then the second item that we need to discuss is USD 420 going to allow asymptomatic household members of a positive COVID-19 individual to return to school on day 11 of the 20th day of quarantine, wear a mask, and participate in the test to stay and play program here at school.
And what's the difference between that and what we're doing now?
The testing program that we're participating in now, we're only testing close contacts within our district, meaning if my husband had COVID, I would have to stay home for the 20 days unless I chose to test on day 16 and return on day 17 and continue to monitor for symptoms. And this is all asymptomatic people. The testing that we're doing at school is if you were deemed a close contact in the classroom or within our district.
We're not doing the household,
We're
we're
not
just
doing
doing that.
household members.
And we had discussed that in October. And the recommendation from our administration in the buildings was, and we agreed, was to keep the households like we had them based on, I mean, at the time, I think we tested 73 that morning or something.
So to
It
kind of
was-
put it in perspective, the third week of November, if we were to, we would have went from testing 84 individuals in the morning, which was almost not doable.
Right,
The lack of testing staff, the before work that it takes to organize that, the mass amount of spreadsheets, the parent contacts, the organization and double checking of all data, entering data into the state website as far as results, and preparing for the next day. We would have went from testing 84 students to 113 students and staff members,
if we included
if
the
we included the
household
household members,
on day 11.
day 11.
So basically, it's changing the household people from 11 to, or changing them from 17 to 11, or 16 to 11.
Contingent that they're still asymptomatic. We will not test symptomatic people. That's not allowed for this
Right.
grant.
So it's the rapid test versus the PCR on day 16 is decision or discussion topic number 1.
Just to change our policy.
Yep,
yes.
and then discussion topic number 2.
I mean, the first one sounds pretty easy, because
I-
it's just changing
I
the
just had to
test.
bring it to the board because it's a
Right.
policy change.
Yep,
Yeah.
So I mean, if you need a motion for that, I would make a motion, we
Yes,
change
please.
that, whatever verbiage you need in
a
that, you
PCR
tell her.
to, from a PCR to a rapid
Okay.
test.
Okay.
Second, aye.
Aye.
You there, Dave? Alright, so that one carries. Now we can talk about the other one.
So I think you have a list of some points to consider. I still think we need to consider the exhaustion of resources, which is a global issue, not only in schools, but for long-term care facilities. It's just across the board.
I'm still trying to figure out exactly what we're talking about.
We're
Okay.
talking about, the kids can come back on day 11,
But I'm trying to figure out who they are, what they
they're
are.
the
They're
household
household members.
contacts.
Which means that if I get it, if my kid is there, he's a household contact. So
Yes.
right now, he cannot come to school
Well-
till,
If they have been positive in the last 6 months and they're asymptomatic, they can return to school. Or if KDHE and CDC indicate, and the health department, that if you're fully vaccinated, then you may, an asymptomatic may return to school and continue to monitor for symptoms.
I think I just got more confused than
I know,
I
I'm
was.
sorry.
In
Yeah.
my mind, it's just whether we now allow household asymptomatic people to come in to do the test to stay in play or not.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like we already are because they're,
No, we
if
are
they're,
not.
or if they follow all the other stuff, that's the only one.
If they're asymptomatic and vaccinated, they're not, they're
Then they
not
don't
part of the
need to have
testing.
to test.
They don't have to test.
Okay.
Lisa,
Yes.
how many numbers are we talking about now?
Well, it fluctuates daily, weekly, Dave. Right now, actually, we are currently not testing because there has been no close contacts determined here at school.
That's great.
So how many,
Coming out of Thanksgiving.
84.
how many would this, for staff members, forget about the kids for a minute, but staff members, would this affected any of them that we've had out here lately?
Absolutely,
To
So
be
we
able to
would
come
have
back
had
sooner.
them coming back.
yes.
Because that sounds to me like is the bigger problem, is the staff losing the staff. I mean, is that true, principals, help me here? Is that when the staff's not here,
It
that
just-
makes a bigger
Right,
problem?
It just depends on who's positive when.
The staff that I had were positive.
For weeks and not have a positive staff member or a staff member's household member positive. And then we can have a cluster of 5 to 10. I mean, it's just so unpredictable in true COVID fashion, I guess I should say.
So my thought here is with the potential of required testing coming out for private companies and public companies with all this Biden stuff, that if that were to really come out, that's gonna affect supplies for testing.
Absolutely.
And so if I think about that as a potential impact to us, and it would be my opinion that we stay doing what we're doing, just in case there is some impact, that we don't use those resources.
Do we have staff enough to implement it?
We do not, I'm being honest. We would have, no one has applied for the position that has been posted.
Have we lost the
Yes.
people that we had? Okay, I didn't realize that.
We lost the nurse assistant, Cassidy. Hal resigned. And so we just now have one individual that comes in to do testing only, prepare for the next day and then leaves. So that's less than 3 hours a day during testing times. And then one full-time individual that is a nurse assistant that also assists with organizing and testing.
Well, I think just, it sounds like, just like when we discussed it in October, is the recommendation of our little health department and our administration is that we keep moving forward the way we've been moving. I can't say, well, we need to start testing everyone if you're telling me we literally don't even have the staff to do it. I don't think it even makes sense.
That was gonna be my question. What did the health department say at the county?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions and it's like, where do you draw the line? Because maybe my niece and nephew spent the entire weekend with me. Well, then you look at that times 820 people, staff and students. I mean, we could be testing hundreds of people a day, depending on the positive cluster, I guess you could say.
I think as an administrative team, we talked about it, and at our peak, our nurses were maxed out. When we did that, they were above where they
Like,
went
all weekend
above and
long.
beyond. Lisa and her team did a great job, but we had to have volunteers from other people even come in and help us out then. So our concern is, right now, it's going like we want it, similar to October. Hopefully, we won't have another spike like that, but if we do, we've got a pretty good handle on that, but I don't think we can handle anything else, anything above that.
And for example, like if we were to implement testing the household members at our peak earlier in November, having the tests that we have on hand now, we would have been out of tests in 4 days. And KDHE cannot guarantee that we're going to get any when we order them. And we can use Rossville as an example. They had to close December 3rd or 4th, that Friday,
Closed right now.
because they did not have enough testing supplies to keep their staff in school or their students in school. So they had to be closed the entire day.
Does anybody want any more discussion on that?
No, I think we just keep
Let's
our
have one.
Is
current.
there any motion that wants to?
So the
Cross our
off
fingers.
meeting, if they had a positive test, they had to come in and get tested every day, now that changed, is that what I'm,
No, none of that changed.
No,
okay. That's, just wanna make sure.
Does anybody wanna make a motion to change anything? Guess we'll leave it the way it is.
Thanks again.
so I can change the website
Change
policy.
Change that one, whatever the test was, the first motion we made.
Any further questions?
Thank you,
Some more
Lisa.
days.
Thank you.
Right, is that many more school days before Christmas break? Some more days.
New business, we got a Patterson Family Grant. You want me to talk about that, or you wanna talk about it? I know what it is now. It's, we got a grant in the amount of $7,390. It has to be used for something to do with COVID. They've decided to purchase a new floor scrubber, which is $8349.91. So I would make a motion that we accept the Patterson Family Grant in the amount of $7390 with the funds applied to purchase a new floor buffer.
Second,
Aye.
Aye. Dave?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I need to make a motion for the difference to be paid out of LB? Okay.
We'll just take the difference out of LOB, about $900.
It's $959.91, so. Radios, Tim.
Not to be exact.
So we've been in communication with the county and other school districts in the county, and we've got a radio estimate to replace our current radios and actually give better radios to our school buses. Jay, you can jump in on this at any time because you know probably more about this than I do.
It's gonna,
I think it's good to explain, yeah.
the radio system in the county is gonna switch from a 400 system to an 800 system. Simply put, it means that the radios that we currently have that you can't use outside of Osage City, they will work going to Council Grove or anywhere else you go, because everybody around us is on 800. So to keep all the buses in contact with people, to keep the admin with anybody they need to keep. The radios are gonna go countywide, so it'll be fire departments. The sheriff's department will have one switch that they can turn on and say, listen, there's a tornado coming, and it'll go every radio in the county. That's fire departments, everybody, school districts. The school districts can't turn those buttons on. But if you have an active shooter, you hit the sheriff's department, the sheriff's department can alert everybody. So there's all kinds of things that'll be safety wise. On top of that, the emergency personnel. So it's a system the county's gonna put in, and the schools had the option to join in. And it's at a pretty good reduced cost.
It's at 40% off list price, and it's actually even a little bit, I talked to Brett Lewis at the sheriff's office today, and it's actually even
It
a
went
little
down
bit
more.
lower than that because of a mistake they made, so.
Oh.
We're looking at,
Motorola made a mistake.
yeah,
So it didn't cost county either.
we're looking at, getting 17 handhelds, 12 mobiles for our route buses, the preschool bus, the 3 red vans, and our activity buses. And then also, talking with Mr. Hutton today, we're gonna add a mobile base also for the district office. So that's a little bit more. So the total around this is for 55,000, but we're looking at a savings of roughly, probably around 30,000 by doing this now. And these
And when you
radios,
say, when you say doing it now, it's gonna be a year.
yeah,
Before we
It'll
get
take
it
a year
implemented.
because they have to
Committing
put
to it
towers
now.
up. It'll take a year to get it. It'll be late next year into 23 before it's.
we've sent a letter of intent in now to our intent to do this, but like I told Brett, we would need to talk to the board about this, and that could change if, at any time, if we need to change or decide we don't wanna do it. He said we have the ability to get out of this also.
Correct. Up until the time the radios are ordered.
Right. But obviously, if it's, the upgrade we're getting is something we probably need anyway, and the radios we have now are kinda on their last leg
They won't
also.
work in that new system.
Right.
You'll be on your own.
We'll also be on our own encryption. Each school will have their own, these radios are encrypted. So that's a positive also.
I think it's great.
So I know the county's wanting you guys to tell them whether you're doing this or not. So do we need to make a motion on that?
I think so.
I think it's
Just the
it's
dollar
a
amount.
motion that we make that says we're gonna
Sign the letter of intent.
sign the letter of intent based on the price or whatever that is. I'm not gonna make that motion, so somebody, I'm gonna get out of that vote just because I'm at the county level too, so.
I make the motion that we have the intent to purchase the new radios that will be aligned with the new county standards.
Second.
Second it.
Oh, 2 seconds.
Aye.
Aye.
Dave?
I heard you chuckle, Dave. Did you say aye? He
I
did.
stayed out just because I'm at the county.
He abstained.
I abstained out of that one. Okay, Three Lakes report.
I have a Three Lakes report. We did, I was, had the opportunity to be on the
I like the way you think, opportunities.
I've learned that in my career. You get lots of fun opportunities. No, to interview candidates for the director of the Three Lakes Co-op. We did extend an offer to a candidate. That candidate accepted, but I don't believe has told their current employer. So I can't
Three Lakes
say.
has it all over their Facebook page.
Never mind. Three Lakes has it all over their Facebook.
I don't know, I can't remember her name now, but I saw it on there.
It's Carolyn
Yes, yes.
Green,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
it is. I saw it.
Thank you, Carolyn Green, and she, Kathy Mickelson, most of you know, is retiring, at the end of the school year, and she comes to us from a co-op in
Marshall County.
Marshall County. I promise I interviewed her, and it's just been a long week already, so, but anyway, I think she'll, do a fantastic job, and that is the Three Lakes report.
Recreation report.
We've got youth basketball forms are out, 3rd through 6th grade. We have teams formed. They've started practice. They'll start their season January 8th. We're still participating in the Scott Brown League with a bunch of area towns. We all added Lebo and Chase County for this year, so we actually have 11 towns participating in the league. K-ball forms are out. Their deadline's January 7th, I believe. And then also 1st and 2nd grade basketball. Its deadline is also January 7th. They'll start after the first of the year. And then November, I had 3 park board members roll off after their second term. So we will have 3 new board members come onto the board. It will be, oh my God, it's been a while. I can't remember them off the top of my head now that I'm on the spot. But we will have 3 new members starting in December. Yeah, and so that's exciting. We had around 6 or 7 applicants this time, so quite a few people interested, which is great. Smoking the Spring, I have sent team information out to teams that have been at my contest, and so we'll be taking entries starting now, and it'll be April 8th and 9th, 2022. That is it for right now. So,
Tim, administrative report.
For the middle school, last night we had a 6 through 12 choir concert. They did a great job. Basketball, both teams are playing real well. Play at Council Grove tomorrow, then have a couple home games before the break. We also have a JV tournament at West Franklin this weekend. After Christmas break, we come back, have 1 game, regular season, and then we start our varsity tournament, and that'll also be at West Franklin the week of January 10th through the 15th. Friday, we're gonna have our winter dance hosted by Builders Club, and that'll be from 7 to 9:30 in the cafeteria. And then next Wednesday, we have our 5 through 12 band concert at 7 p.m. in the auditorium, and we're ready for Christmas break. So December you got something every night, so we've been busy. working in the school and the kids are doing what they need to do, so we're almost there.
All right, Dina.
All right, K-Kids, we collected over 900 items for the ECAT's food pantry. The officers delivered the food along with the coordinators, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I wanted to thank Grady Bellinger, Ty Romine, and Chase Silver. They were our food drive coordinators, and they did a fantastic job collecting the food and hygiene products, checking expiration dates, but sometimes that can be a pain, and boxing up all the items, so they really did a great job. Santa Shop is going on right now. Our final day on that is Friday. The fourth graders will have their final purchases tomorrow because they go to the Midwest Ballet. The Nutcracker Suite, I believe, is showing in Topeka, and that's where they get to go and watch that ballet. Tomorrow night, we have our last vocal music concert and art show for 3rd through 5th grades. It's going to be somewhat like a play production, so it should be a pretty good production. Mrs. DeLong has put a lot of work into the production along with our students. And Mrs. Savage is going to be selling ornaments that the students in 3rd through 5th grade have made. They'll be hanging on the Christmas trees, and they're gonna be selling for $1 an ornament. So a nice keepsake for some of the parents if they wanna take those home. And the money raised will go to charity, so.
It's good, I saw that.
That's all I have.
Tony.
Just real quick, we had a great Christmas program, as they mentioned, last night. Had a lot of positive community comments. We did have one girl, Harmony Dorsey, that did do district choir, and she has been honored and has been invited back to the state level, and then has been offered a invitation to go with an honor treble choir to Hawaii this summer. So she's done a fantastic job, so I'd like to.
What grade is she in?
Harmony Dorsey.
What grade is she in?
Freshman or sophomore.
No, that's okay,
Sophomore?
she's not a junior, that's the class I know.
No, younger than that.
But she's young, that's what I
Yes,
wondered. Okay,
it's
awesome.
hard for me to keep them all straight because they're all mixed up, so congratulations to Harmony. Wrestling, we are down to 11 boys. We started out with 17, but we're down to 11, still have 2 girls. They're starting to hit their meets hard and heavy, and so they're out almost every weekend. They actually have 3 meets this week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now, not all the kids go to all of them. Some are girls, some are JV and girls, some are varsity. So a lot of going on. Basketball's in the middle of their preseason tournament at West Franklin. Tomorrow night they resume play, and then Saturday they'll both play boys and girls at Central Heights. Flint Hills tournament will be mid-January as in the past. Board members, you and your families are in free. You just go to Passgate on the east side. I'll talk more about that next month. The new pole vault mats are supposed to be in later this week or early next week. So that gives me now time that I need to get rid of the old ones because our space is limited and I don't have room for both of them.
And they came in time for a track.
It'll be here in time. They wanted to hold off and ship them in the spring, but it was like, let's get them when we can get them. Now they do come in a shrink wrap, so they're like all the air sucked out of them. And I think you have to let them out for about 2-3 weeks before you can actually jump on them. I'd like to know what to do with the old ones. I mean, they're pretty cumbersome. What's that?
Purple Wave? You sell them on Purple Wave?
We could. They are damaged. I'm not sure how much we would get out of them, but I can certainly ask if they have some, advertise them in there. Or have somebody that wants them can come and get them. So it's just what you want me to do with them. You want me to advertise them on Purple Wave, see if somebody wants to give us some money for them, or see if somebody wants to give them away. What's that?
If we don't get any action on them, then we always give them away to somebody.
Okay, I'll try Purple Wave first. On the 17th, the high school started an incentive day. the last 3 weeks after Thanksgiving and the last 3 weeks before Christmas break, we started an incentive day. We asked the kids to step up and work hard this last 3 weeks for grades and tardies and attendance and office referrals. And it's been going really well. And so on that day, we're gonna have a shortened schedule where every kid goes through every class, red and white, for about 20 minutes to see all their teachers for that first half of the day to end up the semester. In the afternoon, we're going to have a Christmas party in the cafeteria and some games, and student council has been working hard on that. But one of the ideas that the student council came up with is, could, if students choose for their incentive to be dismissed. It's cheap, it's what kids really want, and I don't think that I would want to do that without telling you guys or getting your permission if I cut a bunch of kids loose that half day on the 17th. So I wanted to get your thoughts and see what you thought.
Have you seen improvements since you?
I have.
That's what I would first.
So
ask if
typically my weekly tardies, which if you get 3 tardies in a week, you have a tardy detention, you serve with me during lunchtimes. You get a closed lunch and you sit at a special table. And I went from 13 to 3. My F list, the teachers have allowed students to make up any missing or late work over the last semester. Typically, you're not allowed to do that, but they open the door. If you're willing to do it, we're going to give you credit, see if you can get your grades up. Now, we cut that off on Friday, so it gives teachers time to grade it. And so on Friday the 17th, if you're still on the F list, then you don't meet incentive, and we'll let you still time to work on some of those assignments. And then those that are on the tardy list or have office referrals. Now, if you're on the tardy list one time or you're sent to the office one time, I've told the kids that if you do a volunteer job for me, or if you can earn it back once, but not twice. So, so it's just, try to give them incentive, a little thought. My office referrals are down, and so I've seen some improvements in that way as well. So I think if I told them they could go at noon, I might even see a better improvement. So
I think it's,
what do you think?
for the high school level, I think it sounds great.
Very creative.
I'm glad to see you're seeing improvements in the behavior.
I would send out a note to the parents telling them this is gonna happen. That those students that, or, if some parents may not want them to go home. Some kids ride a bus, some kids would rather
So
stay
they'll have fun activities here at the school even if
Yes.
they can't buy it.
for the incentive also.
Okay.
And I got a question outside all that.
And that's all I have, yeah.
How many students we got out in basketball and stuff?
I think I have about 35 boys, and we have a couple of injuries. I was at 15 girls. I think I'm down to 13 girls.
The reason I asked that, I've had several phone calls about coaching staff says, what is our rule on how many coaches we have per players? And I'm sure you probably heard that too, so probably coaches from other sports.
Well, we did, and we've talked about that as a group too, and so typically that third coach is a numbers coach. However, we didn't see this coming. Honestly, I had a small senior group out, and we had some kids not go out that we thought would go out. And so that contract was already issued. And so we really can't get out of it once we issued it to them. So that's something we really need to be watching in the future. That third coach really needs to be a numbers coach. And if the numbers aren't there, then we shouldn't issue it. So boys never seem to have less than 30 out or so.
What is the number?
As long as I can run 3 full schedules, so if I can run a full varsity, a full B team, and a full C team,
So you're
then I
probably
really need 3 coaches.
25 is probably the number?
18 to 20.
18.
Mhm. I
So
mean,
it's really on
18.
the girls' side where it's
Yeah,
less evident right now.
so I'm gonna lose 2 seniors this year and probably pick up a larger freshman group next year, so probably not gonna be a problem next year. So it is something I didn't really see coming, and it kind of snuck up on us, so.
I have another question. The seat backs, now the brackets are still in back order?
Yep, we got an email from the seating company. And
Now
yeah,
that basketball is gonna be an even fuller swing, I just want, people are gonna ask. So.
Yeah, so they're working on it, but they think maybe mid-January.
So they have the backs, just
Earliest.
not the brackets.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Some part of the back.
So that's what we're waiting on right now, and of course with COVID and everything else, we could still be waiting a little bit longer. And
Oh, that's
then
fine, I
at
just
that
was
point in
curious.
the season, you know, we gotta figure out, they said it'll take 2 days, we don't know what day they'll wanna come in. But if you're offset practices, or obviously we're eating lunch in the high school right now too also, so we're got a lot of stuff going on, so where we line up those 2 days, you got rec practices, rec games on the weekend, so finding a good time to get those in is also a challenge, so.
So once they pull those bleachers out and start installing, they need to leave them out for all 2 days. They can't
Got it.
really retract them.
Did you say 10 or 15 on that?
What's that?
10 or 15 minutes on that executive.
10 or 15? 15.
It's more of a round.
You wanna go 10 or 15? We can go 10
15.
and we can always just stretch it out. We need to.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long.
Alright, so 10?
Yeah.
I'll move we go into executive session at 8:01 PM to discuss matters related to certified positions pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under coma, and open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:11 PM with the administration attending.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're back.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, we're back in open session. Regrettably, I'm gonna read a statement here. It is dated December 1st, 2021. Dear USD 420 Board of Education and Administration, after 42 years of serving the patrons of this community, I'm providing notice of my retirement at the end of the 21-22 school year. My experience is teaching, woodworking, cabinetry, biology, CAD drafting, STEM, robotics, and landscape, and horticulture, advising a CTSO, and coaching have provided memories I will always cherish. Please know I will be happy to assist in any manner to help secure my replacement upon your request. Sincerely, Rick Schmidt. With that, I would make a motion that we approve Dr. Clinton Johnson, a graduate of University of Kansas, as high school musical or middle school choir teacher beginning January 3rd, 2022 through the end of the 21-22 school year. Also approve Jessica Piper as a high school English teacher for the 22-23 school year, pending the acquisition of teaching certificate, and approve the resignation of Rick Schmidt at the end of the 21-22 school year.
Second time.
Aye.
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 Well carried. Then I will make a motion, we enter executive session at
8:12.
I got 8:15. All right, 8:13 PM for, to discuss matters related to non-elected personnel, to the exception for matters which be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under coma. And a meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:33 with Donna Whiteman attending by phone.
Second time.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. open session.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, we can't yet.
Well,
We wanted to tell them what's going on.
okay, I don't move, we adjourn.
Nobody's
You can
second.
leave it there, we'll second it in a second. So during the time being, and I don't know the time dates, I'm not gonna put a date on it, or should I put a date on it? In the interim, while the superintendent's on his approved leave of absence, Mr. Reaman will be the point of contact to fill those duties temporarily. And we did call him into the executive session during our meeting to make sure he was good with that. So that gives everybody the public update. If you need something from the superintendent's office, please call Tim Reaman. Remember, he's still doing his other job, so it may take a little longer, but that's your update. All right, now, you made your motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.